have the quarterback of the Kansas State Wildcats, Big 12 champion Will Howard.
So excited to announce Kansas City Sports Network's new soccer channel. They're taking advantage of a look that they utilized earlier in the game to show that jet sweep motion.
It's a live edition of the KC Laboratory presented by Emprise.
You kind of root for guys to have those moments, and that was certainly a big moment.
Welcome into Mizzou, that's Who, your podcast for Missouri Athletics here on KC Sports Network.
Welcome, everybody, to the Border War podcast.
Welcome back. Another episode of Ain't No Season podcast.
You are listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
It's a live edition of the KC Laboratory presented by Emprise Bank, member FDIC. A very happy belated Father's Day to everyone. I was able to hear from the AFC West, and I can confirm that they did wish the Chiefs a happy Father's Day as well. So that's good news. Maddie Lane, happy Father's Day to you. Looks like you spent some time in a shipping container house on the beach for Father's Day.
Yes, I did. I did, in fact, go to the beach. I did hang out in a shipping container, ate a lot of really good food. Shout out, old Wilmington, North Carolina. They got some good food down there. Surprisingly good food town. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm just excited. Kent didn't tell me this. I literally just pulled into my house at like 5 minutes ago. So I coming straight from the car on here. Kent didn't tell me that Lex Luthor was joining us in the podcast today. So Lex, buddy, how are you doing? Like, how's it going? I know the last time you tried to take over the world, it failed. But you got a new plan this time?
Yeah. I'm just gonna kill everybody and everything today. That's how today's going. This is part of it. But listen, I'm just happy to be able to talk football with you two fine gentlemen. That will brighten my day for sure.
A lot of good football talk to be had around June 19th.
I'll take it, man.
I can't wait to ask Tilda Swinton some Chiefs questions here. So,
I know you're begging. I know it's killing you on the inside. You can explain your joke so that way the rest of us can catch on. I know
Tilda Swinton. You don't know who Tilda Swinton is?
Oh, no, I just like it when you explain your jokes to us.
Oh no, this isn't a pun.
Okay.
This is good. I appreciate everybody hanging out with us. If this is audio only, you need to get to the KCSN YouTube channel. That's all I'm going to say. And please hit the like button and please hit the subscribe button. And please feel free to leave a 5-star review. It helps us grow KC Sports Network. We like to hear back from all of y'all. 5-star reviews, they help us grow KC Sports Network. So would very much appreciate all that. I will remind you, we're over halfway filled out for the KCSN golf tournament at this point. This is just a friendly reminder. Make sure you are quick to enter your team in the KCSN golf tournament. It's called Tacos and Bourbon this year. Mission Taco has stepped up. Obviously, Holladay will be there as well. You're going to get some incredible snacks and some barbecue from Chief Bearcat. There's all kinds of prizes. It's an incredible time. And $500 gets you a team of 4 into the tournament. There is a link to enter your team in the description of the show. It's very important. Get it out early. We're just trying to make sure people know, hey, we're over halfway full now. So make sure you're taking advantage of that. I'm excited. I know it is peak June. I am still excited. I watched a little bit of the Chiefs this weekend, just watching some all 22. We heard from Andy Reid in some comments from him, and I don't know. I'm excited to talk about a couple of things. And the first thing I want to talk about is Skyy Moore. I'm quite fascinated with some of the comments made about Skyy Moore when it comes to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Both of them really had a lot of good things to say about him. There seems to be an increased level of confidence. There seems to be a lot of positivity in the Skyy Moore camp. And I know, when we look at roster building and we look at the Chiefs from the outside, there's only so much that we're going to be able to, have the context on. And we're not going to have the context on the offseason. And obviously, we believe that there are players that are going to be able to take a step when it comes, down to it. And you hope that that's going to happen. But when you're on the outside looking in, it's really hard to look at the totality of a roster and be like, oh, all it's going to take is Kadarius Toney to stay healthy and Skyy Moore to take this giant step in year 2. And, you can't do that when we're in our situation. But I do want to, I want to live in a little dream scenario for a little while where we talk about the growth and development of Skyy Moore. I think the interesting thing is the level of confidence that it seems that both quarterback and play caller have in Skyy Moore and in his growth over the year, Maddie.
I mean, so when you just kind of look at the concept here of what the Chiefs have been saying about all the different wide receivers coming out of the offseason, I feel like it is a little different with Skyy Moore compared to a Kadarius Toney or a Justin Ross, or just anybody else that you want to go through here. It does seem like it's a little bit different. Everything, not that they're not positive on everybody, but with Skyy Moore, there's been a very big emphasis on getting the trust of whether it's Mahomes, of Andy Reid, of Nagy, just whoever it might be. A lot of it seems to be centered around he now has the trust. He's now learned what he needs to know. He's come out himself and kind of said like, hey, I got here and I really didn't understand it, but like I had a lot to go through and I finally feel like I'm here now. So it just feels like the tone's a little bit different. The tone doesn't seem to be as much about what he could possibly do if X, Y, and Z go right. It's a lot more of he's taken these steps between the ears, not necessarily even just on the field, but he's taken these steps between the ears. We're seeing that play out now. And where that's showing up is just like, yeah, that trust, the consistency he's having and showing from these other guys. So I don't know, to me, it kind of seems like a little bit different of a narrative. I don't know how Craig feels about this one though.
No, I think I'm in line with a lot of that stuff. I do like that Andy Reid came out and made sure to say, hey, listen, he's really impressed me this offseason. I like what I see. This is a direct quote here. He's getting strong, and you can tell that he's worked this offseason. He was down there with Pat the whole time and never missed a day with him, so he's done a good job. And most importantly, the tag at the end of that I don't think is getting enough run, he has a better understanding. And I think at times when you watch the offense last year, there's a lot of times throughout the season, it's like, why is Justin Watson getting these reps? Why aren't we seeing more Skyy Moore? Why aren't we seeing him on the field? And then you'd see him on the field, and maybe when you're watching him from the All-22, spacing's not right. Things don't seem to be clicking as well. The route distribution doesn't seem to be exactly right. And then all of a sudden, you wouldn't see Skyy for a little while more, and you'd see a lot more Justin Watson again. That's a correlation for certain there. I really do truly believe that. Andy coming out and saying he has a better understanding is, that's everything with how this offseason and how this offense is going to work with Skyy Moore in it. And so that's really good to see that already. Listen, they're running routes against air and stuff like that, but that's when you'll see it. Like if he's breaking at the appropriate moments and feeling things, and all that, this is exactly when you're going to be able to detect a lot of that stuff because you are running routes against air. You are just trying to work on this many steps before I do this and I break here and I turn my head here and I'm looking here. That's the sort of stuff that is going to show up at this point in time in the year. So the fact that he's already doing it better than what we saw last year, even according to Andy Reid, is a huge, huge thing for this offseason for him.
Well, and it's like this. OTAs doesn't matter for everyone. There's just only so much you can get on the offensive line. But Skyy Moore getting reps, reading coverage, making slight adjustments to his routes based on all that stuff. And you heard Andy Reid say, like you said, Craig, you mentioned, hey, the grasp of the playbook. Andy also goes on to say, trust from the quarterback. Mm-hmm. That's like, I think it literally might've been last Monday that we talked exactly about that and how I think it was literally last Monday. You can go back. Someone can go back and find out, but I'm pretty sure it was last Monday. We talked exactly about, hey, the trust is going to be really, really crucial. And what's interesting to me about it is, we talk about the trust and all that stuff. Patrick Mahomes throws out Skyy Moore might be the JuJu replacement in some capacity. Like he's doing a lot of the JuJu stuff. And I think like in a lot of ways, I think there are some crossovers. Like they're not an apples to apples player, but that JuJu role requires tons of trust, tons of trust. And so, like, that's what's so interesting to me about the comments from Patrick Mahomes is not just the fact that there seems to be more confidence, but, you know, the areas of the field and what they expect of him and how they expect him to be utilized a little bit.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of the intriguing thing now, because now we've heard kind of Brett Veach say they see Rashee Rice as a guy that can maybe step into this JuJu Smith-Schuster role, and now we've kind of gotten Skyy Moore could maybe step into that. And I think if you ask any Chiefs fan or anyone that kind of follows the team, yeah, like obviously those are the two players that seem the most likely to step into that role that kind of a lot of people are anticipating. With Skyy Moore, it's interesting. It's a very small sample size, right? But last year, he was the second best receiver on a per route basis versus man coverage. He was one of the worst versus zone coverage, right? And that kind of makes sense, though. Learning a new system, learning all these tweaks. When do I round this route up and drift upfield? When do I cut directly behind a defender and then curl back into the vacated spot? Looking at like specifically the 49ers game, where he drifts upfield and it ends up resulting in an interception because he's not in the right spot. So having that trust, if they are seeing him translate to a JuJu Smith-Schuster role, that really does say that he's understanding not only the routes and the concepts, but the adjustments that he has to make and being on the same page as Mahomes. I don't know if that's going to, you know, come to fruition or not, because I think that's a big gap from where he was. But I think what you're seeing is this team is going out of their way to talk up a guys, the trust they have, the consistency Skyy Moore is building, whether it just be meeting with Mahomes every single day to catch passes or out on the field or the way he's answering questions, talking to the coaching staff. They're building up the consistency and the trust that they have in him. He's going to get opportunities, whether that's in a JuJu role, whether that's in a different role entirely kind of created for him. I don't know what that'll be, but it seems very clear they are going to give him an important role or a significant role in this offense, or at least they want him to take one.
And it's funny when we talk about the complexities of Andy Reid's playbook and how long it takes these guys to kind of come up to speed. I think we translate it just to, oh, he's going to line up, he's going to run this one route, and that's it. No, there's so much more as far as, you know, reading the safety, reading the side adjustment, having your feel with your quarterback, knowing when the blitz is coming so that you know when you've got to be the hot man. There are so many layers to the offense here that it's not just, well, he just needs to get into his playbook and work it. No, it's a lot of on-field reps. It's a lot of physical reps that occur. So him being with Mahomes every day is a big deal. Him getting this in training camp is a big deal. And I think we talk a lot, you know, and I see some stuff in the chat here, like we'll pick on this one right here. Abre Los Ojos. Do we worry about Skyy's ability to replace JuJu as a 5'9" wide receiver? Yes, certainly. But I do think that Skyy Moore is a very physical player at the catch point, even despite that size. He's got big hands. You know, he's got 10-inch hands. He's able to haul in the ball really, really well, does well playing through contact at the catch point. So does Rashee Rice there. But from a Skyy Moore perspective, when we were looking at this offense last year, we were looking at some of those reps, especially early on when it was very clear, okay, he's not going to get some of those MVS reps. Okay, so he's not going to get some of the McColl reps. The JuJu reps made sense with his skill set and with the way that they utilized JuJu in the offense last year. So it does make natural sense with his skill set, the ability to break off a guy, the ability to beat press, the ability to make some catches in the middle of the field that are a little bit tougher. I think that makes sense for Skyy Moore. Yes, he is smaller, but I think that he's playing bigger and it fits kind of what JuJu did in this offense last year.
I talked a little bit off the top about, you know, when on the outside looking in, we're not, you know, you hope for jumps, but you can't completely factor in a jump into what you're looking at on paper entirely from an outside perspective. But I want it to be known, you know, and first off, you know, what you see on all we have is what he did in his rookie year to base some stuff off.
For sure.
But at the same time, it's easy to see how just a step in confidence, a step in understanding, knowledge, and trust with Patrick Mahomes could lead to a lot of success for Skyy Moore, because there was a lot of things on tape that showed up when he was, when he was a draft prospect, and things that got us excited about him. And I think we had him as a top 40-ish prospect or something like that in the KCSN draft guide. And those skills and those talents and those abilities do translate really well over the middle of the field. and I think they tried to exploit those abilities a little bit with some of the slant RPO stuff. They tried to hit him on a couple of them, but big hands, longer arms for a guy his size, some density, some ability to work through contact. I think Andy Reid or somebody said he was a running back after the catch last year. And like all those things are true. So if they can put everything together for him, if he can gain confidence, there's undoubtedly, some ceiling and some upside and some ability to him to, to take a real tangible step. And I think we're all rooting for that. We're all hoping for it because that's for the betterment of this football team. And it'll be a lot of fun because we were all Skyy Moore fans coming out. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network. Entertain, educate, inform. KC Sports Network.
Thank you all so much for hanging out with us here at KC Sports Network and the KC Laboratory. Please feel free to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a 5-star review. I am working to get confirmed numbers. We have like 10 spots left in the KCSN golf tournament. So it is getting, in. Yeah. It's July 29th. Sunflower Hills Golf Club. It is going to be incredible. Cannot wait. I will be driving the golf cart, and I believe Tucker D. Franklin will be riding with me from rumors.
The golf cart or the beer cart? Because those are
two different things.
Driving the beer cart.
I don't know what the I don't know if you know this, but you got big shoes to fill. So, people don't want you showing up in just a golf cart if you're charging the beer cart.
No, we'll be all right. We will be all right. And Tucker's there, and seltzers and Tucker and donations, who knows? We'll see. But yeah, make sure you're signing up for that. Don't miss out. Andy Reid talked a little about Wanya Morris. And it's really hard to, obviously, again, I just got done talking about how it's kind of hard to glean stuff from the offensive line. It's, OTAs are not built similarly for every single position. There's just certain things that you're not going to really know about a player. But it did genuinely seem like Andy Reid was a little bit hyped about Wanya Morris and excited about. He went as far as to say he was a good pick, which I just found a very interesting phrasing because I don't think we've really heard him say something quite like that very often. But, there was some questions asked about, hey, playing on the left side, playing on the right side. They seem to really like Wanya Morris. Just the early returns on Wanya Morris seem to be quite positive. I don't think the door is shut on Wanya Morris, finding a way into that rotation. I tend to believe it's pretty. I think we're probably waiting until 2024 to see him. But Wanya Morris is climbing up the list of players I'm excited about watching at training camp in 2023. If you ask me,
I think that there's a lot to like with him. There's a 5-star recruit, goes to Tennessee. A lot of other teams are competing for him. Ends up going to Oklahoma after some head coaching shenanigans at Tennessee. So very talented player. I think that's obvious. You watch him and you can see it. So yeah, I think any coach is probably super excited for what they've seen from him, especially before pads are coming on when you're just working in this situation, because his natural athleticism is going to show. His length, all the stuff he's really good at is easily going to show. We'll see what happens once you get into training camp and into preseason. Like, this is one of the, and I don't mean this that Wanya Morris is in no any way, shape, or form a bad pick or not a good player. Just listening to that, this was one of those hype ups that I think kind of to me sound like Andy just hyping up a guy, because that's what Andy does. Andy never says anything negative about anybody. He's always going to put their best foot forward for them when he's talking to the press. So like, I'm just not reading much into it. My opinion, on Wanya Morris hasn't changed a lot. It's nice to see that Andy, has liked what he's seen from him so far. They haven't liked it enough to let him try first team right tackle reps, let Juwan Taylor try first team left tackle reps. So that's kind of where the end result is for me, is regardless of what is said, he's still working as a second team guy, which is fine. That's absolutely okay. But he's still working as a second team guy while they keep their best offensive tackle on the right side, which that might still be their best starting 5 overall, but nothing's changed from that yet.
But before you jump in here, Craig, I do want to clarify real quick, because yes, Wanya Morris has got first team reps with the offensive line at left tackle. it should be noted the times at which he has been doing that have been when Donovan Smith is not there. So I don't think Wanya's got any first team reps without Donovan Smith being absent. Even though, hey, look, I'm still. Anyways, sorry, Craig. Please continue.
Yeah, I'll dovetail right off of that. They got dudes in the room that they have trusted to play left tackle in a pinch under Andy Reid. Prince Tegawinogo is there.
Yeah.
Lucas Niang is there. Those are guys that they have trusted to play in that left tackle spot in case of injury. They've got Joe Tooney there. Joe Tooney could kick out as far as we care. It's not like Creed and Joe really need that work together to build that rapport. No, they're good, man. They're good on the interior. They could work different guys in there. Wanya Morris getting those reps over those other guys is noteworthy in itself. So yes, Andy Reid's probably he's certainly not going to windmill dunk on a rookie. Like that's not going to happen. He's not going to come out and be like, guys, he ain't picking it up. Don't worry. It's just not good. Not happening. It's not happening from Andy Reid. So you got to look more at the actions in that standpoint. And if Wanya Morris is picking it up quickly enough to be able to get second team reps, I even said this going into OTAs and going into mini camps and everything like that. It's like, don't fret if he's on the third team. When you start seeing him climb the ladder, if he's getting second team reps, that means Andy Heck trusts that he's executing the way that they want. Because right now, what it mainly is footwork, positioning, and trying to make sure that you are in the right spot based on the call that's happening in the huddle there. If it's a second team role and they're trusting him to step in when Donovan Smith isn't there, that means Andy Heck trusts him to do that well enough. It means he's advancing far enough as a rookie to get to that point. Now, again, I'm with Kent here. I'm not saying Wanya Morris is going to come out and be the starter week one. That's not the expectation there. That's not what I would at all expect him to do, especially at left tackle when he's been playing right tackle since he left Tennessee. So I think there's a lot of room that needs to grow, but based on the offenses that he came out of, we knew there was a lot of work that he needed to do to earn this coaching staff's trust, and he has if he's already leapfrogged some of those other guys in camp.
To be fair, some Oklahoma offensive linemen have been able to pick things up quickly here. They've, Creed Humphrey was able to step in day one. I do find it interesting that Wanya Morris was the guy that they were prioritizing getting some of those opportunities on the first team offensive line. I genuinely think that's something worth paying attention to, just as my ears are perked. I'm not saying he's jumping in and he's going to replace Donovan Smith, but I think a lot of it is interesting for me. Like, two things. We talk about Wanya Morris's left tackle tape at Tennessee was bad when he was a teenager. Okay.
That's a long time ago.
It's a long time ago. Who knows what happens if he sticks around there for the entirety of his time. Anton Harrison's kind of a decent football player. They probably wanted him to play left tackle. But I'm so curious about the developmental arc of Wanya, because what are they going to do? Are they going to keep him at left tackle? Are they going to let Jawan Taylor play his natural position, try to develop Wanya Morris as a left tackle of the future? Like, my ears are at least perked up when I hear, them talking about that. And, I don't know. That's what's interesting. This is one of those, like we kind of talk about, it's like the outside looking in kind of conversations, right? Maybe they are just going to move him to left and try to develop him from there, Maddie.
I mean, yeah, that's the way things seem to be trending, like at this moment in time, right? Like, obviously, Wanya Morris has still had some reps at right tackle, but all we have to go off of right now are the very select few screenshots that come out of Chiefs camp. The vast majority of them have Jawan Taylor at the first team, Lucas Niang playing a lot of second team reps at right tackle. There hasn't been a lot of Wanya Morris playing right tackle. Most of it's been him at left tackle. When Donovan Smith has not been available to play, it's been Wanya Morris stepping in with the first team. And now, whether that means he's the second team left tackle yet or not, I don't feel comfortable answering that based on mini camp right now. Like, this could just be a guy getting some reps and stuff like that. But if you're making a prediction going forward, it would certainly be, it seems a little out of pocket to say this guy is going to spend his entire rookie season learning to be the backup left tackle just to move him back to the right side the following year. that would seem to be kind of a very roundabout way to go about moving two guys, two positions again, because then you would still be going back to Jawan Taylor is changing positions. So back to the whole thing. I don't think we'll know until training camp what this unit's going to look like, but heavy lean towards Wanya Morris is going to get a shot to be this team's left tackle of the future at this point in time, and Jawan Taylor is going to most likely stick to the right side.
Can I jump in? I'm sorry, Craig, real quick.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I think it's how often are the Chiefs making a rookie a swing tackle? You know, like I'm trying to think, and maybe it speaks a little bit more to the rigidity of Lucas Niang's ability to play left that they're putting Wanya over there. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure Lucas Niang, going after he sat out the COVID year, was working out as a left tackle going into his true rookie year,
and didn't sniff it and didn't get reps there.
He did it. I think he did during mini camps and stuff. Like
during camps, he definitely did. But they put the kibosh on that.
Sure, they ended it pretty quick, but he did. And then you go back to Eric Fisher. He obviously played right tackle as a rookie, and then moved over to left side. So like, I definitely don't think the Chiefs are a team that is going to be very rigid and the sides their offensive linemen play. I actually think they're very open. They're very fluid with that. But I think once you start to dial things down, it's not a position that you want guys flip-flopping back and forth all over the place. It would make no sense to have Wanya Morris learn to be a backup, not a starter, just the backup left tackle or the backup swing tackle just to move him, positions again. So we'll see how it plays out. But I do think traditionally they are a team that does like to flop guys around during the offseason until they find what they think fits best.
And let me rephrase this one more time. I'm sorry, Craig, you look great. But how often do you think a team like the Chiefs are really leaning heavily on the 97th pick or whatever he was in the draft to be their swing tackle? I guess I'm just looking at the gravity of what they need. I don't know.
Lucas Niang was going to be a starter or a swing tackle when they took him roughly in the same spot.
I don't know. It feels different with Wanya than Lucas. Anyways, this doesn't seem like it's as real because Lucas Niang did not look remotely comfortable in the
start.
Lucas Niang took a year off at his rookie year. Like that, I think that kind of ruins any comparison that we can make between Lucas Niang and Wanya Morris. Realistically, he was out of the building. Like he was, and the Chiefs didn't get to do a lot of what they like to do with rookies. To play devil's advocate here, Wanya Morris has played left, has played right tackle, most recently played right tackle for Oklahoma. Guess what? He's pretty damn good at right tackle. Like, we were genuinely excited about him playing right tackle for this team with Jawan Taylor over on the left side. Now they've decided they're going to keep the guy that they know is top tier right tackle as a right tackle, and they're shifting this guy back over to left tackle where he played at Tennessee. He's certainly got the footwork. If he's able to make that switch after Oklahoma, basically 2 years removed from playing left tackle, he's able to kind of step in here and say, okay, yep, I'm ready to play left tackle again, and doing it well enough that Andy Heck says, hey, guess what? You're getting run ahead of some of these other guys because we need you to get that run. Now, could be a testament to how they feel about some of the other tackles in the room that he was so easily able to leapfrog that. But yes, to the Eric Fisher example, I think that is a great one because you talk about a guy with extreme athleticism that needed a little bit of refinement, kind of certainly took off like a rocket to get to that number one spot there, and then plays right tackle, kind of eases in there, took a little time to adjust to the NFL, and then becomes this very good left tackle after Brandon Albert leaves. There is no reason in my mind that another super athlete like Wanya Morris, who is obviously comfortable playing either side because he's doing it right now, he just is. There's no reason to think that a guy like that can't translate and can't make that transition. It was just a question of coming out of the offenses that he was, coming into the NFL the way that he was. I had a lot of questions about him playing left tackle, but if he's checking boxes for Andy Heck, who am I to say anything different?
We're going to transition to a break and come back right after this.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network. Entertain, educate, inform. KC Sports Network.
Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, take a sip. Thank you all so much, very much. KCSN Golf Tournament, all that good stuff. I know you guys are probably sick of me saying it. Craig sipping on a Dale's Pale Ale, which is now localish for you, right?
Double Pale Ale. Yeah.
So, real quick, before we get out of here, Chris Jones, there seems to be some optimism. It just seems to be a lot of optimism. It's kind of funny because it's coming off the backs of Chris Jones not showing up to the ring ceremony, which
the best story we had for like 24 hours.
Reportedly
48 hours
per sources, and the source was Chris Jones on Twitter. He was sick.
Yeah,
Since
it's a good reason
then,
not to be there.
But I think, you hear the quotes from Brett Veach there. You hear the Albert Breer report. There seems to be a ton of optimism about a deal getting done, and I think there's largely, I think most Chiefs fans had an expectation, but there's also a little bit in the back of your mind, maybe just because of the Tyreek Hill situation that this team just went through, where they moved on from one of their superstars, that maybe there's a chance. It really does feel like before training camp starts this year, Chris Jones is going to have a substantial deal with the Kansas City Chiefs, Maddie.
I mean, I think so. I think we've always been trending towards that, right? Like that. I don't think that's ever really been the question, especially once we got past like the draft, when that would make the only time that would be a trading of him would make sense. And you're most likely not going to play him out on this contract. Like it's going to be a deal. So yeah, I feel like this is the way we're going. I still stand by this. I think the way things have gone the past 2 weeks, I have very little hope that you're going to get some kind of deal, some kind of like bargain on Chris Jones. I think he's asking for and probably going to get closer to Aaron Donald than closer to whoever is currently the second highest paid defensive tackle. I think he's very clearly kind of better than everybody else not named Aaron Donald. And at this point, he's going to ask for that money. I thought earlier this offseason, there was a chance that he might take a little bit, not major discount, not talking about taking, some mid-level defensive tackle money, but like he might have taken a little bit less. He might have been okay just barely being the second highest paid D tackle earlier this offseason was my feelings. I don't have that same feeling anymore. I think he's wanting as much money as he can possibly get, and I have absolutely no problem with that. Chris Jones, please go do that. Get as much, do whatever you want to do. If you want, however you want to go about it, that's what he should be doing. I don't have the optimism from a Chiefs fan perspective that he is going to come in at any level of what we're going to call a deal for the Chiefs.
No, it's not going to be a deal, nor should it be a deal. He was third in the NFL in Defensive Player of the Year voting this year, and the two guys in front of him are just playing out of their minds awesome. So, like, there's no doubt in my mind that Chris Jones is going to break $26 million. Like, I think that he's going to be above that in AAV, the average annual value. Now, who knows how much of that he'll see? We'll see details of the contract when that all finalizes and stuff like that. But I don't believe that he's going to break Aaron Donald money. And
I think he's breaking 30.
You think he's breaking 30? I think it's in the realm. I really
do. If it wasn't, it would already be done if that wasn't the case.
I think so too.
I think it'd already be done. We've shifted to social media, and not a problem, but we've shifted to social media negotiation tactics from both sides. We have the Chiefs speaking stuff to NFL reporters. We have Chris Jones shooting out cryptic tweets and stuff like that. Like, we've gotten to the point now to where it's clearly just jockeying over money and or years on a contract. I think we're probably north of 30.
And I'm fine with that. I just know that the reason that they probably hadn't had a conversation at all this offseason is because they were letting the rest of the defensive tackle market work out. It didn't make sense for either side to come to the table before now.
And it's still really working. And it's still going. It's still going.
Yeah, they're still not finalized with some of these deals. I will say a lot of the deals have come in lower than what I expected a lot of the defensive tackle deals to come in at. But once again,
I think they got more guaranteed. Like, I think that's
more
what they
guaranteed.
Went for.
Yes, absolutely. More guaranteed. But that being said, Chris Jones is well worth every penny at $30 million. He absolutely is. He is the key part of this defensive line. He is now the veteran leader on this defensive line and a guy that they need in the building to make this 4-man pass rush work. We saw what happened with Joe Cullen when other pieces started to come together and give Chris Jones a little bit of help on that defensive line. What happened? He had the best year of his career in not a contract year. Now, for all intents and purposes, it was a contract year, but Chiefs could just let this ride this year, keep him under contract. He didn't have to do that this year. So it's not a motivation thing for Chris Jones. This was I want more rings. I want to do this. I want to step into this role. I want my name to be hanging in Canton. And he is on the fringe of that, if not there already. And I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to come to the table. I think they're going to pay him a lot of money because they have to. He is the guy on that defense. They love to have building blocks. They love to have guys that they build around, especially on the defensive line. If you know anything about Andy Reid and Brett Veach, that's where they like to funnel a lot of money into. They just got rid of a lot of money on that defensive line. Go ahead and roll it over into Chris Jones and just make the man happy. Make your defensive line as good as it can be.
They've invested in the first round with defensive ends back-to-back years as well, continuing to add cheap, talented assets to the defensive line to build around Chris Jones. I would love to take the under on 30 million APY though. If someone
I went and looked at Donald's contract. It's kind of funny. It's a funny 30, 31, whatever.
Well,
there's the voids. Well, there's the voids on the back. It's a little funny to get to his 31. Like it's not quite as straightforward as it initially looks. So yeah, maybe that is a little high, but I still think that you're looking a lot closer to his number than you are to who's second, Jeffrey Simmons right now.
Yeah.
I think you're definitely looking at closer to Donald.
And he's under
Simmons.
25. Like he's under the rest of the defensive tackle.
Yeah. It's the DT market has not outside. Aaron Donald's still an outlier. He's like a Mahomes on one of those XY axis outliers right
Except
now.
for last year, there was somebody with him though. Like I think that's what we're kind of banking on.
I know. I'm talking
right. No, that's
I was
what I'm
talking
saying.
about contractually. Yeah.
Yeah.
27 million is what Albert Brewer threw out as a number. 27 million APY. I think that sounds about right. I think
do it.
I think the one thing Chris Jones has against him is the Jeffrey Simmonses of the world, the Deron Paynes, the Quinnen Williams. They're all younger. This is all their first contract, and I think that's the one thing that's going to be a little bit.
Yeah, but he's better. Like clearly,
he is
too.
Clearly, but you also have to ask yourself: did you just pay? Are you paying for his career year to be last year? You know, so,
has Quinnen Williams signed yet?
No. But
no, so Quinnen Williams is still out there. Okay.
And that's I think that's one of the last dominoes. There might be some waiting it out, you know.
Well, and because he's the other guy that's getting the actual sack pressure, the actual pass rush pressures too. Like I love Jeffrey Simmons. I think he's a great pass rusher too, but like he's not Chris Jones, Quinnen Williams, Aaron Donald pass rushing at this point of his career, which are the guys that kind of get paid. So I am curious to see what Quinnen Williams, Chris Jones all end up at, but I think for like the sake of it, it would make no sense, and it never has, for Chris Jones to sign before these other guys, because I don't think his market and their market is related. He's clearly going to be the second highest paid defensive tackle. They were clearly going to be lower than him. So like I'm not surprised that those guys didn't change the market, given they're waiting for somebody else to already come in ahead of them, I guess.
The one thing I keep seeing like people freaking out that he hasn't signed in June. I don't think he was ever gonna sign in June. Like just a friendly reminder.
Didn't Veach say July? Like, didn't he actually say July at one point this offseason?
It's there's not that the urgency only exists if you're trying to rush to be in front of the Nuke Hopkins market. Like there's no reason to sign it right now.
Yeah, how's that going? How's that going for Nuke right now?
I told you, I think if Nuke had a good deal, he would have signed it by now.
Yep.
I think all this talk, I think he hired a new, I think he hired an agent because it wasn't going well. I think the agent has put out every agent line that you possibly can. He's going to take some visits and find the right fit. No, he's trying to get paid and no one wants to pay him what he wants. He's not going to get the Odell Beckham Jr. deal.
The Ravens look silly right now.
They really, they absolutely
really
do. Yeah, of course. I don't don't think he's sniffing the Odell deal. I think the longer this goes on, he's a Chief. I think we might have talked about this last week. I don't remember.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's been my stance. The longer this goes, the more likely he becomes the Chief, more than anything else. I mean, the Bills are obviously still lurking. They didn't spend that much on Leonard Floyd, so like, I don't think that matters. Like, the Bills are still there. I think the longer it goes, the Chiefs and the Bills look better and better. The Chiefs seem to have the best, we have money card left in Chris Jones. Like, they seem to have the better flip card there.
Are we sure the Bills are that into Nuke right now? I think they're less in on Nuke than they were, maybe, I don't know, right before their mandatory minicamp. Maybe right after the physicals at the mandatory.
Listen, nobody knows what's going on with the Bills right now, and Stephon Diggs especially. But anyway, back to Chris Jones. The only reason why you are needing that money right at this very moment is to get other contracts done. And the only one that seems like it's any sort of urgent is Nuke Hopkins, or if you're trying to get a guy like Carlos Dunlap in for cheap, which, I mean, Chiefs don't have a ton of cap room, but that could be a move that's kind of waiting in the balance as well. The other ones that we've talked about, L'Jarius Sneed's contract, maybe they come back to the table with him, but that's going to be something that falls after Chris Jones, after the cap room is kind of freed up a little bit more there. So unless the Chiefs are trying to add another guy to the room, which if you listen to Andy Reid, seems to be pretty happy with the wide receivers so far, then, it doesn't seem like it's a super urgent thing to do. So I'm not panicked. The last time this happened, you know what happened? Chris Jones signed a contract. He was there. He played really well under that contract and stuck around for the entirety of that contract. So it's okay. Chiefs aren't going to give him any sort of short shrift or hold anything against him. So I'm not really worried about Chris Jones not being here yet.
One other note from Albert Breer, he did kind of seem to intimate that maybe the Chiefs had a little bit of comfortability with what they've seen at the receiver group so far. So I will say this. So I can just read this real quick before we get out here. Because they are talking about the DeAndre Hopkins situation, and the Chiefs were in negotiations to potentially acquire him. The Odell Beckham situation kind of blew that up. And then it said at that point, the Chiefs were determined to add a receiver. So people that were saying, oh, no, they don't need a receiver. No, they absolutely were. Yes. But that didn't mean they were going to spend for one. So they took the money earmarked for Hopkins, gave it to former Bucs left tackle Donovan Smith, and drafted Rashee Rice. And now they've had 6 good weeks with Rice in the building. That's the line from Albert Breer. Ears perked. We'll see what happens with DeAndre Hopkins. And if anything happens between now and Thursday, we'll be sure to talk about it. That's going to do it for the KC Laboratory. We'll catch you later.
We haven't even talked about